Hare Krishna. Is it on?
No, off.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Also off.
No. Yes.
Sometimes yes, sometimes.
Hare Krishna.
Oh. Very nice.
Shrinivas is particularly remembered when he was sent. He was, I don't think, is it? Oh, okay. Shrinivas, along with Shamananda and Narottam, they were the three top students in Jiva Goswami's school. Jiva Goswami had begun his Gurukula to train the devotees in the Vaishnava philosophy, as taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Shrinivas, along with Narottam and Shamananda, they were the top students in the school. And they were also expert musicians. They could play instruments and sing lead kirtans, very, very amazing kirtans. So Jiva Goswami wanted to send the three of them back to Bengal because the devotees in Bengal were suffering. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had first of all taken sannyas and left them, and then, of course, 24 years later, he entered into his eternal abode. He disappeared from this mortal world. So the devotees were very broken-hearted, in despair. And the best thing to help them, Jiva Goswami decided the best thing to help them, to encourage them, was to give them the books of the Goswamis. The Goswamis have been residing in Vrindavan, Rupa and Sanatan particularly, along with Sri Jiva Goswami. The three of them wrote extensively, like Rupa Goswami particularly wrote Upadeshamrita and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Then Sanatana, he had written Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and Bhakti Ratnakar was also Sanatan. No? Who wrote Bhakti Ratnakar? Narahari Thakur. So, and you, Sanatan had written some other books, I can't remember now.
Hari Bhakti Vilas.
Hari Bhakti Vilas, okay, thank you, yes. And Jiva Goswami had written Sandarbhas.
Yes,
So there was a lot of nectar to be taken. And Jiva Goswami arranged, got all the books of the Goswamis and put them in a big trunk and gave them a bullock cart and gave them an escort to go to Bengal and bring the books, the three of them. However, when they were on the way, one night they had to pass through a kingdom where the king was something of a dacoit. And the king was told by his astrologer that there's a party of people coming who are carrying a great treasure. So when the king heard this, he arranged that his men would go in the night, and while that party of people, in which the three devotees, Shamananda, Narottama, and Shrinivas were in, that they were all taking rest. They've been walking, so you get tired, when you're walking all day, you get tired. So they were taking rest at night, and the king's men came and they stole the trunk. They had been told by the king there's a great treasure in the trunk. The king had been told by his astrologers that it was very valuable. So they came there in the night and they stole the trunk with the books in. They thought it was some treasure. So when the devotees woke up in the morning and saw that the trunk was missing with all the books, they were devastated. What to do? They were supposed to bring the books there. Anyway, it was decided that Narottam, he would go on to Bengal, to his place at Keturigram, and Shamananda, he went to Orissa, which was his place, and Shrinivas remained in that area to search out what had happened to the books, to try to find the books. So while Shrinivas was searching out what had happened to the books, he heard how there's a regular discourse on the Bhagavatam in the king's palace. And the king had some pandit there who was speaking on the Bhagavatam. So Shrinivas thought he could also go, just hear what they're saying. So Shrinivas was sitting there and he was hearing this Brahmana speak on the Bhagavad philosophy. But Shrinivas could understand that Brahmana was not in any real knowledge of the real message of the Bhagavatam. You could say something like Devananda Pandit. Devananda Pandit, he was also teaching Bhagavatam, but he had no real clear understanding of the message of Bhagavatam and the importance of devotion to the Supreme Lord. So Shrinivas was sitting hearing the king's pandit speak on the Bhagavatam, and he could hear all the mistakes he was making. So after some time, Shrinivas then stood up and began to point out the faults in everything the Brahmana had said. And everyone was just amazed to hear Shrinivas speak. Shrinivas was explaining the real purports of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the king and the king's pandit and everyone, they were all completely astonished to hear Shrinivas. And they went on to become his disciples. And so then at one point the king told Shrinivas that, I found a treasure while some people were coming through my kingdom. My men brought me some treasure, and he showed Shrinivas the trunk, and Shrinivas recognized that this was the trunk with the books in. So Shrinivas was very happy. He got the books back. And he stayed there. He got the king to become his disciple, and the king went on to build temples and to support the Vaishnava. So when you get the support of the rulers, then the preaching is made very easy. So this all happened to Shrinivas Acharya. he was so powerful, such a successful preacher, he could get back the books after they had been stolen. So actually this was the first traveling Sankirtan book distribution party, right? Just like we have so many parties go out from Mayapur and Mumbai and different temple, Delhi and everywhere they have temple, there are buses and you have groups of devotees go around, buses full of books. So it all began from Shrinivas Acharya with Narottam and Shamananda. They were sent out by Jiva Goswami. They were sent out to deliver the books to Bengal, to all the devotees over in Bengal. So by the grace of Lord Krishna, they were able to get the books back and to go on and preach and give the Vaishnava solace from the teachings of the Goswami. So this was Shrinivas Acharya's great contribution, that he had got the books back after it had been stolen, and he had converted the king and all the pandits in the kingdom. He made them all into devotees, and he taught them the real message of the Bhagavatam and all the Vaishnava scriptures. So Shrinivas Acharya did so much nice preaching. And as we heard, he also wrote this Goswami Astikam, because he'd gone there to Vrindavan, he stayed there in Vrindavan, he studied there in Vrindavan, and he heard everything about the Goswamis. So he describes the activities of the Goswamis in his 8 verses in his Goswami Astikam. And Srila Prabhupada took that second verse from the Goswami Astikam and he put it in the preface of his Nectar of Devotion book. Right? The second verse. That I offer my respectful obeisances to the 6 Goswamis who are engaged in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles. Thus they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna and are absorbed in the mood of the gopis. So the mood of the gopis is this Vipralamba Seva, service and service in separation. So Shrinivas Acharya, he used to, as we heard from Dear Damodar Maharaj, he used to meditate, and they could transfer themselves into the spiritual world. They had that power. Because they've been in Vrindavan, they spent time in Vrindavan, and they perfected their spiritual life. And they were able to reap the fruit of their devotional practice in the mood of the gopis and service to Radha and Krishna. So they followed in the footsteps of the Goswamis. They were trained by Jiva Goswami, and then they followed him and they brought the message and distributed it to everyone. Hare Krishna.